And the guy waved me down, the road crew waved me down, and so I pulled off to the side of the road to see what he wanted. And he said, there's a rattlesnake in the middle of the road and we need you to shoot it for us, to kill it for us. And so I'm thinking, oh my goodness, I'm sure this isn't policy, I don't know, but I was a woman. I'm sure when he was waving down this patrol car, he was expecting a big burly man to get out of the car. So I didn't want to look foolish, and so I said, okay, sure, where's the snake?
Hey, good morning. I'm Lisa with Apex Revenue Media, and today I have a guest. But before I introduce my guest, I want to give a shout out to our location sponsor, St. Leo University. If you're interested in evening, distance, or online education, go ahead and check them out at stleo.edu. We also want to give a shout out to our interview sponsor, Grand Technology Solutions, who is offering small businesses a free 15-point technology check to make sure your systems are running properly and up to date. Check out the link in the description to take advantage of that amazing offer. Today's guest graduated from the University of Central Florida with a bachelor's degree in criminal justice. She's traveled around Europe for a month with a group of college students, even visiting Checkpoint Charlie at the Berlin Wall before the wall came down. She graduated from police recruit school and got the award for Most Improved Shooter. She obtained employment by Marion County Sheriff Don Moreland and was found to be the youngest female deputy in 1977 in the state of Florida. She was sworn in on the day Jimmy Carter was sworn in as president. She was a stay-at-home mom for many years, and she lost 50 pounds on the Weight Watchers program and became a Weight Watchers leader and kept it off for 22 years. In 2014, she began the doTERRA Essential Oils business and reached leadership rank of silver in the business in just 2 years. She's helped hundreds of men, women, and children find relief of everyday issues along with more serious conditions using doTERRA products. Last July, she was recognized as a Small Business of the Month by the Clay County Chamber of Commerce. She has 6 grandchildren with 1 on the way. She's now on a mission to share the good news of natural health and wellness with not only hundreds, but thousands more, helping them find simple and natural type remedies for their life changes. Allow me to introduce Janet Peterson with doTERRA Essential Oils.
Good morning.
Welcome. Thank you for taking the time to chat with me. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you so much for having me.
So you were a sheriff. Okay. So tell me how it all began. Tell me how it started and how that morphed you into the amazing, successful woman that you are today.
I was a deputy sheriff in Marion County in Ocala in 1977. I went to the police recruit school in 1976, and in January of 1977 I was hired on by Don Moreland with the Marion County Sheriff's Department. And I always wanted to go into like psychology or a way to help people, a way to determine how to meet their needs. And so I started taking law enforcement classes at the local junior college, and I met some people in law enforcement, and that really ushered me into a desire to get into the law enforcement community. So I worked in law enforcement for 10 years, and during that time I was able to do so many fun things that I look back now and I think, wow, they really had a lot of confidence in me for being so young and really not being very experienced at 21 years old. And it was during the time that women were coming into law enforcement because of some changes that were made with an amendment from the Civil Rights Act of 1964. So women were really being ushered in at that time. And I had the wonderful opportunity to work security details and to guard a famous lady, Jennifer O'Neill, from the movie Summer 42. Marion County is a big horse industry, and so there was a lot of guarding of valuable horses, thoroughbreds, and things like that with the Ocala breeder sales. So I worked sporting events, and I served civil papers, restraining orders. I worked in the civil division and worked in the courthouse as a bailiff, a dispatcher, and then I actually finished out my career in the Marion County Jail. I became a female sergeant in the Marion County Jail, which now there are actually 300 female police chiefs in the United States today. But back then, women in law enforcement was really a very unique, it was just unique to see a woman in that men's uniform. And prior days, we wore the green polyester knit pantsuits, and we were called like a matron. If you worked in the jail, you were called a matron. But as women became more into law enforcement and more working on the street, then they transitioned us into the men's type of uniform. So there was another woman in my recruit class, Patty Lumpkin, who truly is the pioneer of women in law enforcement for Marion County. And they ordered her uniforms because obviously women are built different from men. So they ordered hers so that she could get a female uniform. But for me, I was just sort of like the tag along that they hired, and they had sent me to, I call central casting. They sent me down to the uniform room, and a girl named Judy Collier took me in there. We shut the door. I'm taking off my clothes and I'm trying on these men's uniforms. And they didn't have, now they have a zipper, like it's a fake placket. It looks like buttons, but it's really a zipper. Well, back then they were really buttons. And so I'm in there trying on these men's pants that were just huge, and the gun belt and everything, trying to look presentable as a woman in the law enforcement field. So I was the first female in Ocala to wear the men's uniform. So I have a lot of fond memories and met a lot of great people, and it was certainly an interesting way to start my business life.
I'm completely shocked because I've known you for a couple of years, and I've never in a million years even imagined that Janet Peterson, she knows how to shoot a gun and she will take somebody down. So it's just crazy because you're always so chill and positive vibey, and I'm just completely shocked. So, okay.
I do have a very interesting, memorable story, if I could share, about shooting. So I know that the protocols now and policy and procedure is just so strict. I'm sure much more strict than it was back in those days. But one of my most memorable moments as a deputy was driving along out in the country on 475 in Marion County, and I had a marked car. I didn't always have a marked car, but I had a marked car at the time. And I was driving along, and there was a road crew doing mowing the grass, mowing the sides of the grass. And the guy waved me down, the road crew waved me down, and so I pulled off to the side of the road to see what he wanted. And he said, "There's a rattlesnake in the middle of the road, and we need you to shoot it for us, to kill it for us." And so I'm thinking, oh my goodness, I'm sure this isn't policy. I don't know, but I was a woman. I'm sure when he was waving down this patrol car, he was expecting a big burly man to get out of the car. So I didn't want to look foolish, and so I said, okay, sure, where's the snake? So there was this snake in the middle of the road, and so I had everybody get back, and I pulled out my service revolver, which I still have today, and I look back on this and I just shake my head like, wow. So everybody cleared out, and I got my gun out and I shot the snake, and it flipped over 2 or 3 times. And so, a snake is only like this big. So I shot him a couple of times, and the snake, and the guy was just kind of shaking his head. And I'm sure that was pretty impressive to shoot a snake. And so I thought, and I did do it at an angle where it wasn't going to ricochet and all that. But, and then, it's one of those things where it's easier to get forgiveness than permission. I didn't want to call that in on the radio. Hey, I got a snake here, I'm going to shoot it. So it all went fine. Nobody got hurt. The snake was, abolished. But I had to go report that into my supervisor. And he said, well, did you kill the snake? And I said, yes. And he said, you shot the snake? And I said, yeah. And he said, I don't know that I could have done that. So it was a kind of a fun, memorable moment.
That is such an incredible story, Janet. Okay, so then my question is, law enforcement was heavily dominated by men. So did you have any doubt while you were there in the business, or did you feel like you didn't belong?
Oh my goodness, I really didn't belong. I didn't just feel like I didn't belong. But everybody was so kind to me, and my fellow officers, they just were so nice to me. I was very overweight at the time, and when the sheriff hired me, he hired me with the understanding that I would lose some weight along the way. Well, that didn't happen at that time. My family didn't have guns. We didn't have guns in our family. We weren't anti-gun, we just didn't have any. And so I'd never held a gun. I flunked my driver's test the first time when I was 16. Back then, you got your license the day you turned 16. I flunked my driver's test, and I was so embarrassed. So I was not a good driver. So, and even today, I don't like to drive very much, but I had to learn to drive a patrol car in adverse conditions. And so I look back on that and think, what was I thinking? How did I ever have the confidence as an 21-year-old overweight young woman in a male-dominated field that was afraid to drive and afraid to shoot a gun and go into law enforcement? And I have used that sometime when I'm in a difficult situation, or I don't feel confident, or I'm nervous, or I feel like I don't measure up because I don't have the business experience that a lot of my fellow entrepreneurs have. I don't have all of these things, and then I think, I did that hard thing. That was really hard. Just getting through the obstacle course to get through the police recruit school was I'm sure it's much harder now, but just to get through that, it was very hard. And there was this 5-foot wall that everybody had to get over, and it was based on points. And again, I'm 5'4" and overweight. I could not get over that wall. And so they just, gave me the points handicap, and, so I still passed the test. But there were so many obstacles I had along the way. And I look back on that and I think, I did that so I can do this. And then when I decided I'm really ready to lose this weight, and I lost the 50 pounds, and that wasn't easy. And it's not easy to keep it off. You can lose weight. You can be locked in a closet. Somebody can wire your jaws shut. Oprah did that thing where she did the liquid diet, and that was all over TV. It was a big spotlight at the time. But it's keeping the weight off that's hard. And so every time that I work at it every day, and every day that I want to have something that I shouldn't have, and I think, I can do this. I lost 50 pounds. I can keep this weight off. And so when we reflect back on other hard things we've done, and whatever that is, got through college, was a single mother, whatever it is that you've done in your life that's challenging, if you did that, you can use that as a springboard for your success today.
So the wall for anybody could be it's different from your wall, metaphorically speaking.
That's true, yes.
Okay.
Yeah, that's good. I'm
gonna so now that you say that, I'm like, okay, because that wall, because from my perspective, my wall is other things related to business or things that I'm trying to do for my family. So if I could do all the things that I've done before, I know for a fact that I can do that. Mm-hmm. I can climb my own wall. That is awesome. Okay, so after you did that, and then you're now this super awesome, ultra dynamic doTERRA essential oil lady of power. So how did you transition into that?
So I have a picture of my before picture and my after picture. I became a Weight Watchers leader. And so as a Weight Watchers leader, they liked for us to have a before and after picture up on the wall so that members, when they came in, they would see and they could relate to you that you may be at your goal weight now, but you weren't always at your goal weight. So this was me 50 pounds ago and quite a few years ago. And then this is me a few years ago when I was a Weight Watchers leader. So I was a leader for years off and on in Ocala and in Texas and here in Jacksonville. And I love to help people reach their goals, whatever those goals are. I have a real heart for people. I love people, and I love to get to know them like you, Lisa. I like to get to know them and find out what are their physical, emotional, health challenges, anxiety, stress, those types of things so that I can find what it is that works for them in my doTERRA business. So when I was doing Weight Watchers, I could only help the people who came into the meeting room. When I was out at a restaurant or Publix or at the park, it really wasn't appropriate to approach somebody that I felt like might need my services, because it's just not socially done. So when I decided to make doTERRA a full-time business for myself, I knew that I could reach people anywhere, digitally, over the phone, through Zoom, through my YouTube videos. I could reach people all over the world that have physical, emotional health challenges.
And this stuff definitely works, because I know when you and I met, you gave me a lavender roller bottle. And I always tell my husband, like, oh yeah, there's this thing coming out. And he's always like, oh, it's just you and all your weird stuff. And I'm just like, no, it works for her. He's like, okay. So I got the lavender roller bottle, and I'm on the computer a lot. So I put some on my hands. And usually I'm not stressed out when I do my editing, but I really like it. But I find that it takes a lot out of me. Mm-hmm. So when I'm there editing and I smell the lavender in the air. And the whole time I could feel like a sense of calm and peace. And I'm just like, oh, okay, well, maybe it's not the oil. Maybe it's just like, maybe I'm just like this all the time. So then the next day, I was like, I'm not going to use the oil. I'm just going to do what it is that I do. And then the whole time I was like, oh my God, okay. And it just seemed like my rhythm was not the same. And then I did the oil the third day and I was back again. I was like, oh, this is nice. So then that's whenever I started telling him about it. And then we got some more oil in the home. So thank you. So I believe that it works.
So you're mentioning being alert and aware when you're doing your editing. So this is a bottle of peppermint. This bottle has 250 drops in it. And you can take one drop of peppermint and put it in your hand. Lisa didn't know I was going to do this, but I'm going to have her do it. One drop. One drop of peppermint oil is equal to 28 cups of peppermint tea. It's very strong. And because it's very strong, you're going to put your hands together without your fingertips. Just your hands. You know why?
Why?
So that you don't rub your eye in a minute and be crying here on camera.
That's so true.
So you're going to just rub your hands together without your fingertips, and then you're going to cup your hands together and breathe it really deeply. Is just delicious. It's just delicious. And and I say the word delicious because the supplement facts are on the side. You can actually put this in water, put it in tea, you could use it for breath spray, but it wakes you up. And it oxygenates, and it kind of gets your air flowing better. So when I turned 60, which was several years ago now, when I turned 60, I ran my first 5K race, and my only 5K race so far. But I use this peppermint a lot, and you can rub it on your chest. You can put it on the back of your neck. It's very cooling. It's wonderful for hot flashes or children that are hot. And, we try not to use those medical words, but if a child's warmer than they should be, you'd want to maybe cool them off a little bit with some peppermint oil. There's just 100 things that you can do with peppermint. So now when you're doing your editing, remember that peppermint can also be help you be alert. It's really great when you're driving too on a long trip and you're just starting to get sleepy. You can just use some peppermint.
That's awesome. Okay, so how do we get a hold of you?
Well, I have a website, mydoterra.com/Janet4, Janet for oils. I have a very active and lively Facebook group that is for oil customers or potential customers. I let people in who maybe are interested in the oils. They want to know a little bit more about how to use them. I'm very low key, very low sell. I don't have to push them because they really sell themselves. doTERRA is the #1 oil company in the world. doTERRA reached the $1 billion mark in under 7 years, which is faster than Apple and faster than Facebook. Wow. So doTERRA is the #1 oil company in the world and is recognized as such by the main medical institutions across the nation, Sloan Kettering, Cleveland Clinic, etc.
Okay, so I do have to ask for all our audience watching, can somebody make a full-time living doing just this?
Yes, absolutely. The doTERRA business is like any other direct sales business. You get out of it what you put into it. A lot of people come into the business just to be a sharer. We call them a sharer. You love the oils and you want to be able to get them paid for. So you can work a couple hours a week and just sharing doTERRA the way I'm doing right here with Lisa. And that would get you your oils paid for. And then as you work and you grow and you build your clientele, which is pretty easy to do because, again, everybody's using essential oils now. Mm-hmm. We are now educating them on using quality oils, not to just pick up an oil that you can see at the gas station or the dollar store or one of the big box stores. Getting a quality essential oil is so important because of the scrutiny that doTERRA uses to make sure that each bottle is the purest and the most potent, and it has the scientific efficacy of that particular bottle.
Wow. Okay. So, do you have anything for our friends before we go?
I just want to say, if there's anything that you want to do and you're afraid or you think people make fun of you, if you're afraid that you're too old or too young or not experienced enough, follow your dream. If you believe in yourself, you can do it.
This is Lisa with Apex Revenue Media, and this is Janet Peterson, a wellness advocate with doTERRA Essential Oils, and we'll see you next time.